Most people believe millionaires are built on big salaries, six figures, stock options, trust funds, crypto luck. They think you need to earn more first. More income, more opportunity, more advantage. And if you're working a regular 9 to 5, you assume wealth is for later, for promotions, for when you finally make it. But here's what nobody tells you: the person sitting next to you at work, the one who drives a normal car, packs their lunch, takes no flashy vacations, that person might already be worth over $1 million, and you'd never know because real wealth doesn't announce itself. It doesn't wear designer clothes. It doesn't post luxury vacations. It doesn't brag at dinner parties. Real wealth is quiet, disciplined, patient, and it is absolutely available to someone with a regular paycheck. But what if I told you a normal job is enough? Not glamorous, not flashy, not overnight, but enough. Enough to build real wealth. Enough to cross seven figures. Enough to change your family's future. Because becoming a millionaire on a 9-5 salary isn't about earning like a CEO. It's about behaving like an investor. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how an ordinary income handled the right way can quietly grow into extraordinary wealth. No lottery tickets, no day trading, no second job required, just strategy, patience, and a decision. One decision, because that's really what this comes down to. Not a degree, not a lucky break, not being born into the right family. A single decision, made early enough, and followed through on consistently. That decision is worth more than any raise you'll ever receive, more than any bonus, more than any promotion. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why. Let me tell you about Marcus. Marcus was 26 years old, working an office job, making $58,000 a year. Not broke, not rich, just average. After rent, car payments, groceries, insurance, and the occasional weekend out, he wasn't left with much. He believed what most people believe: I'll invest when I earn more. So he waited. A year passed, then another. His salary climbed slowly, but so did his lifestyle. Better apartment, nicer car, more subscriptions, more convenience. Sound familiar? That's the trap. It doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like progress. It feels like reward. You earned that upgrade. You deserve that treat. And maybe you do. But here's the problem nobody explains. Every lifestyle upgrade permanently eats your future wealth. Not temporarily. Permanently. Because that money will never compound. It's gone. Marcus didn't know this yet. One day, he met an older coworker. Same company. Same 9-5 structure. Same type of salary trajectory Marcus was on. But this coworker mentioned something casually over lunch. I crossed $1 million last year. Marcus paused mid-bite. No business, no inheritance, no massive promotion, no real estate empire, just 30 years at the same type of job, investing quietly, month after month. So Marcus asked the question that changed everything. How? The answer was simple. I started early, and I never stopped. That was it. No complex strategy. No secret investment club. No hedge fund manager whispering stock tips. He started early. He never stopped. That coworker didn't invest huge amounts. He just invested consistently every month. Through recessions, through market crashes, through years that felt completely flat and boring. When the tech bubble burst, he kept investing. When 2008 hit and everyone was panicking, he kept investing. When COVID crashed the market in 2020, he kept investing. He didn't flinch. He didn't sell. He didn't switch strategies. He just kept going. And over time, something invisible happened. Compound growth took over. Marcus realized something powerful that day. Wealth wasn't about earning more than everyone else. It was about starting before everyone else. He opened his first investment account that week, not with thousands, with what he could afford. $200 that first month. Nothing dramatic, nothing worth bragging about. But that was the real turning point, not a raise, not a promotion, not a lucky investment. The act of starting, because starting is the thing most people never do. They plan to start. They research starting. They watch videos about starting. But they never actually start. Marcus started, and that made all the difference. Here's the truth most people miss. Becoming a millionaire on a 9-to-5 salary is not an income problem. It's a behavior problem. Read that again. Not an income problem, a behavior problem, because we've seen it happen the other way. Athletes earning millions, broke at 40. Lottery winners bankrupt within 5 years. High-earning professionals living paycheck to paycheck at $150,000 a year. Income without behavior is a leaking bucket. You can pour more and more water in, but if the bucket has holes, it doesn't matter. The behavior is the foundation. Income just accelerates what's already there. Let's make this simple. Imagine you invest $500 per month. That's $6,000 per year. If that money grows at an average of 8% annually, historically reasonable for broad stock market investing, after 10 years, you don't just have $60,000. You have closer to $90,000 plus. After 20 years, it's not $120,000. It's over $295,000. After 30 years, now you're crossing $700,000 plus. Stretch that to 35, 40 years. You're approaching or surpassing $1 million. Not because you're brilliant, not because you timed the market, not because you had advantages other people didn't, because time did the heavy lifting. Compounding is like planting a tree. In the first few years, it looks unimpressive, a tiny sapling. You wonder if it's even working. But underground, the roots are expanding, deep, wide, invisible. Then one day you look up, and the tree is enormous, providing shade, producing fruit, standing tall. You can't rush a tree, but you can plant one today. Small plus consistent beats big plus delayed every single time. The tragedy? Most people wait 10 years to start, and those 10 years are the most powerful ones they'll ever have. Starting at 25 instead of 35 doesn't just add 10 years. It potentially doubles your outcome. Because of how compounding accelerates over time, the early years feel small, but they're doing the most important work. Step number 1. Control the gap before investing comes one critical principle. The gap. The gap between what you earn and what you spend. This is the single most important financial concept you will ever learn. Not returns, not stock picks, not portfolio allocation. The gap. If you earn $70,000 and spend $70,000, you will never build wealth, no matter how hard you work. No matter how hard you work, no matter how many side hustles you run, wealth lives in the gap. So step 1 is simple. Increase the gap. Not necessarily by earning more, but by spending intentionally. Audit your lifestyle. Actually sit down with your bank statement. Every transaction, every subscription, every impulse buy. Every I deserve this purchase. Ask yourself one question about each one. Is this funding my image or building my assets? Because those are the only two things your money can do. Fund who you appear to be or fund who you're actually becoming. That extra $400 car upgrade, that's not just $400. That's $400 that could compound for 30 years into potentially $4,000 plus. That $200 monthly impulse spending, that's not just $200. That's thousands, possibly tens of thousands in future growth gone. Every dollar is a choice. Now, this isn't about living like a monk. It's not about suffering through your 30s so you can enjoy your 60s. That's not the message. The message is alignment. Are your spending decisions aligned with your actual goals? Most people say they want wealth, but their spending habits are aligned with looking wealthy. Those are two completely different things. Real millionaires drive average cars, live in reasonable homes, shop when there are sales, and invest the difference. The image of wealth is expensive. The reality of wealth is quiet. Every dollar has two choices: consume today or compound tomorrow. Millionaires on 9 and 5 salaries consistently choose tomorrow. Not always, not perfectly, but consistently enough. Step number 2, open the right accounts. Now we get tactical. You need investment vehicles, the accounts, the containers that hold your money and let it grow. For most working professionals, that means three main options: your employer retirement plan, like a 401k, an individual retirement account called an IRA, and a taxable brokerage account. Let's talk about each one briefly. If your employer offers a 401k match, that is not optional. That is free money. Free money. If your employer matches 3% of your contributions, and you contribute at least 3%, that's an immediate 100% return on that portion. No investment in the world guarantees that. Not crypto, not real estate, not the stock market. Capturing your full employer match is the single highest returning financial move available to you right now. And most people leave it on the table because they're not paying attention. Don't be that person. Next, consider opening an IRA, traditional or Roth, depending on your tax situation. A Roth IRA in particular is powerful. Your money grows tax-free. You invest after-tax dollars today and never pay taxes on the growth. In 30 years, that difference is enormous. Next, open a low-cost brokerage account. Look for platforms with no account minimums, low expense ratios on funds, automatic investing features, and a simple, clean interface. There are excellent options available today that make this easy. No excuse not to open one this week. And remember, you don't need thousands to begin. You can buy fractional shares. You can start with $100 or $50 or whatever fits your current gap. The number is not the point right now. The habit is the point. Because here's what changes the moment you buy your first index fund. You stop being just an employee. You become an owner. You now own a piece of businesses, real businesses, that generate real revenue, real profits, real value. That identity shift from employee to owner changes how you see money, changes how you make decisions, changes everything. Step number 3, what to invest in. Let's simplify this because this is where most people overthink. You do not need to pick the next Tesla. You do not need to analyze quarterly earnings reports. You do not need financial news alerts every hour. You do not need a complex portfolio of 40 different assets. For most people building wealth from a 9 and 5 salary, broad index funds are more than enough. An S&P 500 index fund, for example, gives you ownership in 500 of the largest companies in America. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Berkshire Hathaway, all in one fund, instant diversification, ultra low fees, long-term growth, tied to the overall economy. You're not betting on one company surviving and thriving. You're betting on human progress, on innovation, on the collective output of the world's most productive economy. And historically, that bet has paid off. Over any 30-year period in history, the US stock market has delivered positive returns every single time. Now, could you buy individual stocks? Sure, you're allowed to. But understand the critical difference between investing and speculating. Investing is patient, slow, deliberate, based on fundamentals. Speculating is emotional, reactive, based on trends, tips, and gut feelings. Wealth is usually built slowly. Losses usually happen quickly. The person who bet it all on one hot stock and lost, that's not a strategy. That's a cautionary tale. If you're early in your journey, keep it boring. Boring is profitable. Boring is predictable. Boring is what actually works. One more important point before we move on. If you don't yet have an emergency fund, pause on aggressive investing. Build 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a high-yield savings account first. Not in your checking account. Not under your mattress. In a high-yield savings account that's earning something while it waits. Because if you're fully invested and life happens, job loss, medical bill, car breakdown, and you have no cash buffer, you'll be forced to sell investments, possibly at a loss, possibly at the worst possible time. Stability protects strategy. The emergency fund isn't a sacrifice. It's the shield that lets your long-term strategy survive short-term chaos. The goal isn't excitement. It's endurance. Step number 4. Automate and increase. This is where transformation happens. Most people fail at investing not because they lack knowledge. They fail because they rely on willpower. Willpower is unreliable. Willpower runs out. Willpower loses to a stressful Tuesday. Willpower loses to a good sale. Willpower loses to peer pressure at dinner. The solution isn't more willpower. The solution is automation. Remove the decision entirely. Set up automatic contributions to your investment accounts every single paycheck. Before you see the money. Before you can spend it. Before it becomes available for something else. Pay yourself first, not what's left over, not if there's anything remaining. First, treat investing like a bill. A non-negotiable. Except this bill doesn't drain your wealth. It builds it. This bill pays you back. With interest. For decades. When the market drops 20%, your automatic contribution buys more shares at a discount. You invest. When headlines scream recession and everyone is panicking, you invest. When your coworkers are talking about pulling everything out, you stay consistent. Automation removes emotion. And emotion. Fear during crashes. Greed during rallies. Emotion is the enemy of compounding. The investors who panic, sell in a downturn, and wait for better conditions to reinvest, they miss the recovery every time. And recoveries move fast. The best days in the market often come right after the worst ones. Stay in, stay automated, stay consistent. Now here's the second half of this step. Every time you get a raise, increase your contributions, even slightly. If your salary increases by 5%, redirect 2-3% of that raise straight to investing. Keep the remaining 2-3% for lifestyle. You get a slight upgrade. Your future self gets a massive upgrade. You won't feel the lifestyle hit because you never adjusted to that money in the first place. But your future self will feel the difference deeply. Do this every raise, every bonus, every windfall. Over time, something remarkable begins to happen. Your investments start earning more each year than your contributions. Think about that. The money you put in is now less significant than the money the market is generating on your behalf. That's the tipping point. That's the moment money starts working harder than you do. That's when the equation shifts in your favor permanently. And it happens automatically. If you just stay consistent, let's avoid the traps. Because knowing the path is only half of it. The other half is knowing where people fall off. Mistake number 1. Waiting for the perfect time. People watch the market. They wait for it to settle. They wait until things feel less uncertain. They wait until they have more money. They wait until they understand more. Here's the truth. There is never a perfect time. Markets rise. Markets fall. Time keeps moving. Every month you wait is a month you cannot get back. And in compounding, those early months are the most valuable ones. Stop waiting. Start imperfectly. Adjust as you go. Mistake number 2. Lifestyle inflation. This is the silent wealth killer. Every raise turns into a bigger lifestyle instead of bigger assets. New salary, new car, new salary, new car, new salary, new apartment, new salary, new wardrobe, new gadgets, new habits. Your income grows, but your gap stays the same or gets smaller, and your future never changes. The antidote is intentional upgrading. Upgrade selectively. Upgrade meaningfully, not reflexively. Mistake number 3, panic selling. The market drops 30%. The news is catastrophic. Your portfolio looks terrible. Fear sets in, and people sell. Here's what that actually means. You bought high. You sold low. You locked in your losses. You removed yourself from the recovery. If you sell every time the market drops, you guarantee permanent losses. Volatility is not a warning sign. Volatility is the price of admission. It's the cost of earning long-term returns. Expect it. Plan for it. Do nothing during it. Mistake number 4. Obsession over monitoring. Checking your portfolio daily is like digging up a seed to see if it's growing. You're not helping, you're disrupting. Daily portfolio checking leads to emotional decisions, which leads to bad moves, which leads to lost returns. Check your investments quarterly, maybe monthly. Rebalance once or twice a year. Otherwise, leave it alone. Compound interest requires time and stillness, not constant intervention. Mistake. Number 5. Thinking you're too late. This might be the most common one. I'm 35, I should have started at 22. I'm 45, it's too late for me. Here's a reframe. If you're 45, you likely have 20 years of investing ahead of you. $500 a month for 20 years at 8% average growth? That's still nearly $300,000. Not a million, but hundreds of thousands. From $500 a month, that's not nothing. That's life-changing. And the math only gets better the earlier you start. The best time to start was 10 years ago. The second best time? Today, not next month. Not after the next paycheck. Today. The market rewards patience. It punishes impatience. Here's what this journey actually looks like, honestly and clearly. Year 1, you feel small. Your contributions feel insignificant. The numbers in your portfolio don't look impressive. You're disciplined but unsure. This is normal. Push through it. Year 3, you see progress. Real progress. Your balance is meaningful. Momentum builds. You start to believe it. Year 5, something shifts internally. You no longer identify just as an employee. You identify as an investor. You track your net worth. You understand compounding in your bones, not just conceptually. Year 10, your portfolio is significant. You feel optionality. options you didn't have before, the ability to change careers without panic, the ability to handle a financial emergency without spiraling. Real options, real freedom. Year 15, your investment account grows more in a good year than your annual salary. Let that sink in. Your money is working harder than you are. Year 20, your investments generate real, substantial annual growth. The compounding is undeniable. Friends and family notice the calm you carry. You're not worried about retirement. You're prepared for it. Year 30, you look back and realize something profound. It was never about becoming rich quickly. It was about becoming consistent early. The older coworker Marcus met, he didn't predict markets. He didn't outsmart Wall Street. He didn't have an MBA in finance. He simply stayed through crashes, through boredom, through doubt, through every moment when quitting felt rational. He stayed. And consistency compounded into freedom, real freedom, not the social media version, not the Instagram vacation highlight reel, the kind of freedom that means you choose your schedule, you choose your work, you choose how you spend your days. That kind of freedom. Built quietly, built steadily, built on a 9-5 salary. Here's the truth. A 9-5 salary is not a limitation. It's a tool, a predictable income, a stable engine, a reliable funding source for building ownership. The people who dismiss the 9-5 as a ceiling, they're missing the point. The salary is not the strategy. How you use the salary is the strategy. And most people use it to fund consumption. Perfectly understandable, deeply human, but financially limiting. The ones who use it to fund ownership, they end up in a completely different place. Same job, same salary range, different destination. If you invest consistently, not perfectly, not aggressively, just consistently. If you increase your contributions with every raise, if you avoid the lifestyle traps that swallow paychecks, if you give compounding the time it needs to work, millionaire status stops being fantasy. It becomes math, not theory, not motivation. Math. And math doesn't care about your background. Math doesn't care about your starting point. Math doesn't care whether you went to college or not. Math doesn't care whether your parents were wealthy. Math just rewards consistent inputs over time. The biggest risk isn't earning an average salary. The biggest risk is earning for 40 years and owning nothing at the end. Trading 4 decades of your time for a lifestyle instead of a legacy. That's the real loss. So if you have a job, you have income. If you have income, you have the ability to invest. And if you have the ability to invest, you have the ability to build wealth. Not overnight, but inevitably, slowly, quietly, persistently. Start small, stay consistent. Think decades, not quarters, not years, decades. Because the version of you 30 years from now is watching right now, and that person is either grateful or wishing you had started today. You get to decide which one. You get to make that choice right now. This video, this moment. Not a raise, not a promotion, not a lucky break, a decision. Because millionaires aren't always flashy. They're not always the loudest in the room. They're not always driving the nicest car or wearing the most expensive watch. Sometimes they're just the ones who didn't stop. The ones who opened an account on a Tuesday afternoon with $200, who kept adding to it through every storm, who resisted the urge to cash out when it looked bad, who ignored the noise, tuned out the headlines, and just kept going. That's available to you right now. With the income you already have, start today. Your future self is counting on you.